extend their relationships beyond the product and into the service world, into experiences, into the real world, if you like. And it's also led to some difficulties, because we're now in a world where there's too much choice. On the one hand, there's opportunity. Some companies have actually launched entirely new lines of business based on the digital world. Nike's a great example. They used to make shoes. Now they make a service that helps you get in shape, that encourages you to do what you need to do. Other companies have tried and failed to enter this world. And I think what's coming next is the need for us to stop competing. Stop demanding attention. You are not alone. No brand is alone in this world. I see all kinds of products and services coming out, more apps every day. 60% of them are used less than 10 times before they're discarded. All these apps are competing for my attention. They might be intended to help me, but after a while they stop being helpful assistants and start being leashes and prompts for me to engage with something that I might not even need to engage with. And I think we're starting to see a backlash now. I'm starting to see all kinds of messaging online and in the mobile communities around, some people call it digital dieting. Breaks from mobile, people actually paying to go to a spa that will take your mobile away from you, take all of your computing equipment away from you and lock it up for a week, a weekend, a couple of days, however, so that you can have a break and actually live in the real world. And there's something kind of sad about this, and there's something kind of good about this. I think the message is, if we're going to continue to make things, and if we're going to continue to make things that improve human life, in other words, are sustainable for the long haul, we need to think a little bit differently about how we do things. It's not about trying to steal attention from one brand and give it to another. It's about understanding the ecosystem that you're working in. And the ecosystem that you're working in is centered on the individual who owns this thing, or who engages with any kind of technology, who engages with you in any way. And the more we understand that we are living in an ecosystem, the more we will be able to identify connections and opportunities that we can open for the customer, for the person at the other end. It's not about you anymore, it's about the person at the other end. And this is going to become much more important as we move more and more into the world I've been thinking about for the last 2 days, where we no longer have screens all the time. Not everything is a screen-based interaction. We have connected toasters, connected shoes, connected doors, connected refrigerators. Especially in that environment, one, you're not alone. I don't know one single human being on the planet who has bought all of their stuff from the same brand. It's not ever going to happen. Two, you're not in your house anymore. So with this shift from fixed to digital and back into the real world, one of the challenges for brands has been, and the brands who have been most successful are the ones who stood up to this challenge, has been a move from being in total control. Control of messaging, control of what happens, control of who does what with your product and when, to collaboration, relinquishing control, letting the human beings at the other end decide how they want to engage with you. And when we start moving onto people's bodies and into people's homes, that becomes much more important. You're not in your house anymore, you can't control what people do. I'll give you an example. If I buy an iron tomorrow at John Lewis, this afternoon, as soon as I pay for it, I can do whatever I like. I can take it home, I can iron clothes with it. Could happen, not likely, could happen. I could also use it as a doorstop, or I could use it as a weapon, or I could use it to make grilled cheese sandwiches. I can do whatever I want, it's my iron, my thing. If, however, that iron has been imbued with a sense of purpose by its maker, I might find myself at odds with it. It might decide to steam my sandwiches. It might decide to call the police when I bludgeon someone. That might be a good thing. My point is, this changes the nature of ownership. This changes the nature of the relationship that people have with their objects. And I think we, who are now thinking about how do we add connectivity to XYZ product, how do we get another service into people's lives, into people's homes, we need to tread quite carefully, Because we're now moving into a world that isn't screen-based, that can't be explained through text and images and motion. We're now dealing with an iron, something that's been in people's lives for more than a century now. And the last thing we want in our homes and in our bodies is things that behave mysteriously. We want to have our own purpose. We want to view our homes with our own purpose. I'll give you another example. And this is sort of living proof of the fact that you're not alone in this world. No branders. So, a lot of brands right now are coming up with very, very well-intentioned products for the home. The kitchen is a real hotspot, right? I've seen connected scales, God help us, we're still trying to make a connected refrigerator. I've seen connected toasters that print your face or the weather onto your toast. Somebody, I'm sure, will want this. But let's just go through a little scenario, a little thought exercise. Let's say I have a house out in East London, and sometime in the next, say, 18 months, I would really very much like to redo my kitchen. Now, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that I decided I was going to go all tech all the time. Obviously, I will want the blinds that you can control with your iPhone. Those are already on the market, right? Mechanical blinds, internet-connected iPhone. I'm going to want the latest and greatest in coffee-making technology, which will have a temperature sensor in the milk dispenser to make sure that the milk stays fresh. I will obviously have my plant pot, my click and grow, which now has water sensors. By then, I'm sure it'll have solar sensors as well. I'm trying to keep the plants alive. I travel a lot. And obviously, I'll have my Nest thermostat. And I will have some kind of solar-powered device. I hear rumors of solar-powered toasters, solar-powered dishwashers, one of those. Sounds great, right? All those things individually could be really well designed, really helpful, really great. But on a sunny day at the end of May, when I am on stage somewhere in a different country, all four of those things are going to be at war over whether the blinds should be open or shut. The Nest wants them shut because it's getting kind of hot in here. The dishwasher, toaster, solar thing wants them open because it needs the power. The plant pot also wants them open. The milk dispenser wants them shut. And what happens? I, on stage, with my iPhone in my pocket, the thing is buzzing every 20 seconds. I'm open, I'm shut, I'm open, I'm shut, I'm broken. My point is, we are putting a lot of pressure on the human being in the middle of all this to mitigate what happens. We are creating things that, looking inside our little silos, seem like really great ideas. But when you put them together with all the other stuff that other people are creating, they might not be such great ideas anymore. I've also heard lots of companies talking about digital butlers, things like that, so they'll run all of this stuff, become the hub. To which I say, interesting. If you can make that happen, sounds okay. But then, how does it make decisions? How do I need to train it? Again, I think the last thing any of us really want is for our homes to behave mysteriously. So, some of you may be thinking, dystopian nightmare, what do we do about it? I have some ideas. Oh, one more thing. Just to give you an indication of how dire I think this situation is, how important I think it is that we think about this stuff. Who here remembers when Bluetooth first became a thing on feature phones? When everybody had Bluetooth suddenly? Raise your hand if you remember. Right. Remember how everybody turned Bluetooth on, and then about 6 months later, everybody turned Bluetooth off? Do you remember why that happened? It was because we did it wrong, right? We did it very, very wrong. We made life a disaster for people. We annoyed the shit out of everybody. And I genuinely think that if we get this wrong, if we make a whole round of connected products or wearables or whatever that make life more difficult, that make life more complicated, the same thing's going to happen. People are going to turn it off. And it'll be a long time before they decide to turn it back on. And then we miss an opportunity. We miss an opportunity to do some really awesome stuff. So I think it is really important that we start to think about this stuff now, not after a bunch of stuff has failed, now, before it fails. So, what do we do? Thing one, people first. Seriously, people first. I know we all want to make money. I know we all like technology. But people are the heart of every system. They already are. We, people, are the ones who invent technology. We're also the ones who use technology. If you make a product, it is people who will take money out of their pockets and pay for that product. If you run a brand, it is people who will believe in that brand and trust it and follow it or not. If you run a company, it is people who will get out of bed in the morning and come to work and do their best for you or not. So if you have any kind of strategy that doesn't have people as a primary focus, chances are you're doing it wrong and it won't be sustainable. So please, people first. Second, let's be real. So there's so much talk in the news about artificial intelligence and the singularity in the day when cars drive themselves and machines are cleverer than we are and everything can be done for us by our magical C-3PO style butlers. But that point is actually quite a long way off. The gap between where we are today, technologically, and that, I don't know, maybe it'll be a year, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it'll be 15 years. The point is that between now and then, we have to be realistic and be realistic with our customers about what they can expect. And robots and automation, stuff like that, the concepts have been around since ancient times. They're deeply sort of interlinked with magic. When people think about robots, they think about things that can think like humans. Because that's not the case, and we want people to not be frustrated and disappointed, we need to help manage those expectations. We need to help people understand what they can expect from technology so that they're encouraged to continue to engage with it. 3, we need to be humble. Again, none of us are alone in this world. None of us are alone in technology. None of us are alone in the ecosystem. And part of humility is transparency. We need to understand that in order for people to trust our products and our services, the things that the bits of us that they carry on in their pockets every day or on their bodies, they need to understand what we're doing. They need to understand, at least on some level, how it works, why it works, what we're taking from them. Especially now when there's all this talk about data and being watched and privacy, and think about how much worse that's going to be when, again, we don't have screens anymore. These things are completely ingrained in the systems of our lives. 4, very importantly, find where the value is for people and monetize that. So we're inventing all kinds of new stuff. A connected toaster, that's not like anything that's been around before. If we try to apply a digital business model to an internet-connected toaster, what's that going to look like? Imagine a toaster that you have to pay to not put advertising on your breakfast. How much is that going to suck? Let's not make things like that. Let's find where the value is for the human being and monetize that. People will pay for what makes them happy. They will pay whatever they think is fair, and sometimes a really ridiculous sum, for what makes them happy. So let's find those things and monetize those. Let's be creative about our business models. And finally, circling back to the subject of people first, let's watch what people do. Let's watch lives in action. Let's observe how people use our products, because that's the way that we can make really awesome shit. And that's what I'd like us all to do. Thank you.